Today we're going to make two super easy soups. They are the ones you want to make on a night when you don't feel like cooking. I'm going to start with Pacific brand butternut squash soup. I like this one better than the other brand because it does. The other brand has these sweet spices like cinnamon and cloves and stuff in it, and that's not the taste I'm going for in this recipe. So you have 1 quart of butternut squash soup. You have, put that over here so it can start heating up. And then we're going to add to that, guess what, I brought a brand new jar of cumin, so it was still sealed up. The other one was almost all gone. Now, I'm going to add to the soup 1 teaspoon of cumin, then I'm going to add like 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. You can omit these if you do not like a little heat in your soup, or you can add more if you like more heat. 1/4 teaspoon gives you a little bit of heat without it being burn your mouth kind of thing. And I'm going to stir those herbs around. And why is this all up? And we're just going to let that heat for 5 or 10 minutes so that the herbs become flavorful and are mixed in with the soup. The other thing we're going to add is some fresh cilantro. If you're not familiar with fresh cilantro, it comes like this. It comes in a package at, I bought this at Lidl. It comes in a package at Lidl, or most of the stores carry fresh cilantro nowadays. And it's easy to use. You just snip it into your pot so that you get a nice topping of leaves on the soup, and then you stir it in. And like I said, we'll just let that heat a minute. And once it's heated, it's done. So we're going to, but then we have a surprise ingredient. This is mild guacamole. I buy this at Lidl, and I buy mild. If you like spicy, you can buy the spicy kind. And I'm just going to open the package. All right. And I'm going to put a good sized spoonful in the bottom of my bowl. Just like that. And then I'm going to ladle the soup over it. So that you get soup all around the guacamole. And when you eat it, that's the party in your mouth, because you're going to take a little bit of the guacamole, a little bit of the hot soup, and it's like a party in your mouth, that hot soup and the cool, creamy guacamole. All right, that one's done. You see how quickly that was done. Our second soup is very similar to this soup in that it uses the same herbs, but it's an entirely different soup. I call it white chili. You use 1 can of cannellini beans. You could also use Great Northern beans if you choose. I use the cannellini beans because I like them. They're a white kidney bean, essentially. Now I put them in my pot and I'm going to add my measuring cups. I'm going to add 2 cups of chicken broth. This is chicken broth I get at Costco, and it's good, but the salt content is a little high, so I'm going to add some low sodium chicken broth to it to bring the salt content down a little bit, so it's a little healthier to eat. And you use about 2 cups of chicken stock altogether. Now, I put the cannellini beans in. I'm going to start heating this up. Now, for this soup, you have to do just a little more for this soup. First, I'm going to put in some chopped onion, and one of the things I do for myself is I keep chopped onion in my freezer. I buy one of those large white onions. I chop up the whole thing, put it in a Ziploc bag, and throw it in the freezer. And then anytime I need chopped onion for a dish, all I have to do is take some out of the bag. I don't have to stop and chop. So we're going to put a little onion in there. And the other thing, one of the other things I keep in my freezer is shredded carrots. So I'm going to put a little shredded carrot in there so it has a little color. Anytime you cook, you want your dishes to have color. The more colorful they are, the more nutritious they are. And so I'm going to add some carrots to that. And the only thing that you can't freeze, I think, is celery. So we're going to use, I'm going to chop up a little fresh celery. And always, when I'm cooking, I always make sure that I get the leaves in. One thing I didn't mention was that I have pre-washed all of these vegetables. I pre-washed the cilantro and the celery so that they are clean and fresh when I put them in my soup. A lot of times you don't know who's been handling the vegetables, and you don't know how much. There was a fair amount of dirt on the cilantro that washed off. I use a half a cup of vinegar to a quart of water, white vinegar to a quart of water, and just cool water. Put your vegetables in there, let them sit for 5-10 minutes, then rinse them thoroughly with clean water, and you're done. They're nice and fresh, ready for you to use. A lot of times the greens and things like spinach are grown in a very fine sandy soil, and that vinegar will get the soil right off of your lettuce and spinach. Now I just put in some cilantro. You saw me chop that up, and I'm going to put in my teaspoon of fragrant spice if you haven't used it. And I can even put a little bit of hot pepper in here. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on how worthless I'm feeling at the time. I used to make this when I came home from work, and I called it my 3-can soup because I used a can of broth, a can of chicken, and a can of beans. My 3-can soup. So the only other thing we need now is some chicken, and I have this canned chicken. You could use fresh chicken if you have it in your refrigerator, or you know, if you have one of those cooked chickens, you could pull some of the meat off and put that in. This is canned chicken, and this is a big can, so I'm not going to use the whole can, but I will use about half of it. And I put some of that broth in there because there's no point in wasting it. And so, all right, that looks good. Now, let's see. Clean spoon. Now this needs to cook just a few minutes because the beans are cooked, the chicken is cooked, everything's cooked, and you just need to heat it until it begins to simmer good. And both of these soups, if you serve them with a nice fresh green salad, make a complete meal for you. This soup, if you wanted to make it vegetarian, you could use a vegetarian broth, and you could leave out the chicken. You could put something else in there if you wanted. So this is heating up, but it's being a little slower than the first soup. But I'm going to dish it up anyway, so you can see how nice it looks with the fresh green cilantro and the carrot bits. It looks really yummy, and it's beginning to smell really wonderful with that cilantro, the herbs and cilantro. So I suggest you put both of these soups in your arsenal and enjoy them.